So our Roubo Workbench is done, and I wanted to walk you through the process so you can see what the finished product looks like and how we put this thing together. So this is the finished product. We started out with, I'm going to zoom out here. First thing you'll notice is that the place we put this together is the kitchen in my office, and we have a popcorn machine. That's a whole nother story. But it's too cold outside, and we actually need this workbench here so we can set up the workshop in the garage, and it's full of stuff and it's cold outside. So we decided to put that together indoors because we knew the glue would set and we wouldn't have any problems. But we started out with Douglas fir wood. We got this at the lumber yard. Now this bench is based off a Stumpy Nubs YouTube channel plan, and I made some modifications to suit my own needs here, but that was the inspiration for this thing. In the video, he recommended going and getting 2x12s from the lumberyard, but the 2x12s that I found in the lumberyard, the idea being to rip them down to smaller dimensions, those 2x12s they had available at our lumberyard here in Ogden were white fir, and that is definitely not as strong as Douglas fir. So we went and found as many clear 2x6s as we could find, and we brought those back. We ended up shaving them down, so the dimensions on this wood is now 5 1/4. We just put them on the table saw, took 1/8 of an inch off each side, and then I put them in the planer and also took another 1/8 of an inch. So they're basically 1 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch. And then they cleaned up nicely in the planer and with the table saw too. So we started the dry build process. We cut out these holes, and we actually didn't make the holes. We actually just cut the wood and then spaced it out. So we have dog holes here. There's little square pegs will fit in there, and then they'll fit in one way, and then if we turn them 180 degrees, they'll sit up on top of the wood itself. And there will be a vise here at the end with a dog on it as well. And then we can just squeeze a piece of wood in between the dogs, and it'll sit firm on the table. But because we're laminating this together, we just created the spaces and put the wood where it needed to be. The key to this was marking the wood appropriately, so we knew exactly where to put everything. And I had to mark 4 pieces of wood to make sure that everything went where it was supposed to and was the right size. You can see that we put a dovetail here. Basically, we left a gap, and a gap here also, so we could put tenons in for the legs. That's part of the Roubo design. So the lamination process, we started that. We worked on the ends first, kind of created big pieces of the table. And this is my first go around with such a big glue project. I used 1 liter of glue on this thing, and I did not use enough clamps on this one section, and you can see it's a little gappy right here, and that is because I used 4 clamps instead of 8, and I just missed that spot, getting that clamp down real tight. So if I were to do it again, that's what I would do better. So after we finished the tabletop and got all the pieces laminated together, we used pipe clamps for that. I had to get the legs put together, so I had to dovetail the tenons here on the legs. We obviously laminated those together into three pieces of wood. Now, the original Stumpy Nubs design calls for 2x4s to kind of run, or 2x6s to run along the bottom. Because the floors in my little carriage house shop over here are slightly uneven, I didn't want to have those rocking on the floor, so I lifted the runners up, and I ended up cutting mortises for these runners to go into. And so the 2x6s, I got my chisel and drill out, and we hacked out spaces for those to go into. Now, the last thing we did here was when putting these together is I used some wood dowels. I drilled through that so that these were secured together, and they shouldn't move now. And I did that on on the sides and on the fronts here too. So everything is tied together now on the base, and it's not going to move. It's not glued together, I mean, other than the lamination on the legs. This thing could be disassembled if it needed to be. In fact, gravity is just holding gravity's just holding this tabletop in, which is great. I mean, there's a lot of weight here. This thing weighs probably 200 and probably 200 pounds. It's a heavy chunk of wood. But it should last forever, and I had a great time making it, and I'm looking forward to a lot of projects being made on this table. So if you need pointers or want some ideas on what to do to make something like this, let me know.